Previously on the healing session.
I just felt like you was like a fast girl.
She's crazy as hell.
Calm down.
Richard and I have been taking care of our responsibilities. You had help.
And this is where it went left.
The child of my husband. Hey, Miss Jackie.
Hi, Epiphany. We're back.
Yes, we are.
After that first video, I don't know, some of the comments, but people are going to be entitled to their own opinion, because they were making me look like the villain. And I guess in the minds of people, they don't understand the situation, so they have to blame somebody. And I'm not saying to blame you, but I think we both healing from a different perspective. Mm-hmm. So they can't sit there and judge saying that I was cold-hearted when we both have to heal. I might be feeling a certain way from whatever went down, and you may have your feelings on whatever, how everything went down. But I'm glad we're back. It was something. We got a lot of comments. I was reading some of the comments and some of the people that were watching, and people are watching. So that's the most important. Learn to heal where you are right now and try, go back to the past and see what you can change or what didn't, make sense then that you can try to make better now.
Yeah, it makes sense of. Yeah. And I think a large part of it was because I didn't have the opportunity to ask you any questions. Right. So that's why we needed to sit down again so that I could have the opportunity to ask you some questions as well. So my first question is, have you ever been married?
Yes.
You have?
Yes. I was married to Jonathan's father.
Really?
Yeah, it didn't last but 2 seconds. But I was married to him. I was married to him for 9 months. For the amount of time. When Jonathan was born, I was married to Kirk.
Wow. See, I don't think...
You don't know. I don't think you...
We've never talked about
No,
that.
we never talked about it.
Because when I asked Richard, has your mom ever been married? Mm-hmm. He said no.
Yeah,
Not to his knowledge.
I was married to Kirk's father. To Jonathan's father. His name was Kirk.
For 9 months.
For when Jonathan was born, Kirk and I was still married.
Okay, so it is safe to say that you do understand the dynamic of a marriage. Mm-hmm. I think that there's so much that we need to unpack from our initial conversation. Mm-hmm. And so my questions for you are geared more towards what we previously talked about. Mm-hmm. How did you meet Richard's father?
I met his father when I was 19. Mm-hmm. And at the time, Richard's father was 50. So he was a lot older than me. Mm-hmm. And I met him at a hair salon.
Okay.
And he did, in fact, me and Michelle, which is Richard's aunt, we were at a hair salon and we met Richard's father there because the owner of that salon had been Richard's father's good friend. Mm-hmm. So when he did my hair, he did Michelle's hair crazy that day. Michelle's hair was hot. Michelle's hair was fiery red.
Oh, wow.
And he overprocessed it. But he knew exactly how to cut my hair, and that's how
Richard's dad
Yeah.
cut your hair.
Uh-huh.
I did know that you were young when you had Richard, because I know in our previous conversation you said that you felt like I was fast. Mm-hmm. But once I rewatched the video, I was like, but wait a minute. Because
But see, I said you were fast, but you don't know what information was given to me. See, I'm coming and I'm seeing you for the first time, and I'm like, who is she?
Yeah.
And I had already gotten the information because Michelle, Richard's aunt. I don't mean to mention her name because she's not here, but I'm not talking about her. I'm just talking about she was the one that brought me the information about you. I didn't know nothing about you because I didn't live there. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? So I didn't know nothing about what was going on. I lived there at that time, but I was coming and going because I worked all the time.
Right.
Half the time you were in there, I wasn't there.
So I want to unpack fast because so my question is, if you were 19 and his father was 50 and his father was married, how can you then look at me and say that I was fast?
I think at that time,
based on what somebody else told you.
I think that time I was looking for an escape. At that time I was looking for that man that was going to carry me away. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And he was on the verge of a divorce. So him and his wife weren't together. And he didn't tell me that he was married. Oh, see, wow. That's the ticket. So when you judge someone, you have to know the whole story. When I met his father, he didn't tell me right away that he was married. I didn't find out he was married till later on. And, you know, when that situation occurred with him that, you know, we're not going to go into. But I did not even know until then because he was like, she's, I said, what? At that time, I had already moved in with him. And that's when I found out the whole story about the marriage and that they were broke. She was in Puerto Rico, living in Puerto Rico. She was going to file for a divorce. That's when I found out that he was married. By the way, he did not tell me I was married. He was married.
And here's where clarity comes in and conversations need to be had because my interpretation of that story based on what I read and what I received and what I learned from his father.
You didn't read, no. His father could not have told you that. He told me that he was married because that was a conversation that we never had.
Yeah.
And you're hearing it from me.
Right.
Because, you know, I'm not
Well, there's
talking
always
about,
two sides.
Yeah, but he's going to say, well, half the time in that relationship, he wasn't even there. Because he was traveling back and forth. He still had a salon in Athens. So even though we were living together up here, he was still going back and forth. What he was doing, I didn't know. I was in school in Georgia, and he was traveling back and forth from Athens to Atlanta. So he half the time he didn't even know what I was doing. I was still hanging out at my mom's house. He didn't know the truth about a lot of stuff. So he's going to tell you what he wanted you to know.
Right.
You know, but you're listening to my side of the story.
Yeah.
You know, he did not tell me that he was married when I first met him. It was a conversation way down when I found out. Okay. And I was not happy about it.
So I'm curious to know what it was that you heard about me.
Well, I just heard, Goober got a girlfriend, you know, she got a baby. And I was like, huh? And it wasn't said nicely, like, you know, she had a baby. So I said, who's the baby? I said, is it Goober's baby? And they were like, no, it's not Goober's baby. She had a baby. So I said, so she's bringing a baby into the relationship? But at that time, I didn't even know y'all were dating. I don't think y'all were dating at that time. It must have been the time when you had met him at the unemployment and you were just getting to know him. But when I found out that you had a baby, I was like, Goober's going to take care of somebody else's baby? You see what I'm saying? Because of the way it was brought to me.
But how does that make me fast because I had a baby? Because you had a baby before me.
Well,
I mean, like at an earlier age.
Yeah, but I mean, it was sad that you were fast. You know, that you just trying to bait Goober. You just want somebody to take care of you and your kid. You know, and then when I found out that you weren't working, I'm like, I guess it's true.
Interesting.
You know, because we come from a family of talkers. If you don't know that already. So one story comes back a different time, a whole
everybody talking
way.
about everybody, but nobody talking to each other.
Right, exactly. So I mean, if I'm hearing something, how can you blame me for hearing something? I'm always the last person to hear, and when I hear it, it's not brought right to me anyway.
Like that game, Telephone. Like when you're younger, you play telephone.
Telephone, right? And then it goes back when you finally hear it. It's 10 different times worse than it started out. It didn't start out worse, but it can end up worse.
Yeah, it just seemed like after watching back the initial sit down between you and I, it just seemed like you were maybe projecting, you know, and I was just like, how does she have all of these strong feelings about me? You know, she's never even taken the opportunity to get to know me.
And that's the truth, because I was hearing different things from everybody, you know. At that time, I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say nobody's name, but I was just hearing different things, and I didn't get from the things that I was hearing. I was like, well, I'm not gonna even get to know her because it's probably just a phase Goober's going through. You know what? Because Goober's probably gonna meet somebody else. I did not realize that it was as deep as it was when it was starting to grow even better, like grow more. I didn't realize it was that deep because I just thought it was maybe, you know, you was probably waiting for your other baby's daddy to come back. Or because you had this baby, I thought y'all were gonna make up. I mean, I didn't know what was the deal. Yeah. Because your daughter Azaria was very young. Yeah. She was like what, 6 months? 6 months. Yeah. So I'm thinking, okay, well, he'll probably be back. You know what I'm saying? He probably want her back because she got his baby. Yeah. So it's probably not going to last long between her and Richard. So you cannot fault me for thinking how I was thinking. Because if you see somebody show up with a baby, you're going to be like, oh, the daddy will be back. So because he's going to want his baby.
Yeah, I don't fault you for thinking how you were thinking. I just wish that
I would have
come to me, or even, you know, spoken to your son.
And that's understandable. I understand how you feel, you know, because I mean, I wouldn't want someone to just make assumptions of me and not getting to know me. But see, that's me learning all of that now because I've had people make assumptions of me. I still have people make assumptions of me, even in the TV and film world in which I work. You know, they don't know me, but they want to try to put titles on me, and because they do that, they don't call me for work a lot because of the things that they supposedly hear from other people, which I don't tell my business. I'm very private, but they want to make up stuff. So I understand how you feel. When I watched the video, I kind of put myself in your position and was like, well, that was kind of harsh. You see what I'm saying? Certain things that I said was kind of harsh, you know, and I said to myself, you know, I was going to make this second one a little better than that. Now that I had time to marinate on it, and people, you know, dropping me comments, people who didn't leave comments called me on the phone because they didn't want to leave a comment. Some of them told me that they don't think that I should have done it. They said, you know, you got a lot of people who might be watching you, especially in the TV and film work in which you work, and they're going to be making assumptions that you, with this conversation, you don't want to be so transparent because it might mess up your name. Yeah. You know, but I told them to say, hey, you know what? A lot of people out here jumping off roofs and committing suicide. It's best to sit down and talk about something and clear the air.
Seriously.
Instead of being out there trying to hurt yourself. Yeah. And trying to, you know. So
I agree.
That's why I said, you know what, let me go ahead and do the second one. Because I had reservations. I'm not going to lie. Even my mother asked me, are you going to do the second one? Yeah. I mean, and she didn't say nothing about it. She was just like, so you really going to do the second one? Yeah. So I said, yeah, I'm going to do it.
No, I heard you on the phone when you called Richard. And I said, oh, man, she sounds sad, you know. And I know that, you know, some of the comments maybe were hurtful. And I felt like you should look at the positive in things. And a lot of times you can just learn from some of the things that people say. Yeah. You know. Yeah. And just reflect on those things. Not take them in to be truth, but hey, you know.
And that's why I try to be like that now. Especially with my relationships with people who I work with. Because, you know, I don't sit down and I may meet someone and they have already heard something about me. Not in a negative way, but they'll hear, oh, Jackie's very driven. You know, she's very driven. She wants to work. Maybe you need to watch her. She might be trying to get to know the director. She might be trying to get to know the producer. When I go on set, I don't even be looking for the producer and the executive director. I just be there to do my job. Right. But you don't know. I'm just saying, I'm guessing it's what they're saying, because when I get there, they automatically be watching me like they're expecting something bad to happen. And I'm not. When I'm at work, I'm strictly professional. So I understand, you know, how you felt. I really was contemplating not doing it. I ain't gonna lie. Well, I just really was.
I'm happy you decided to do it.
You know, because when I read some of the comments, like you said, you heard from Richard, I was like, you know what, that just, I know. And then when I watched it back a little bit, I said I could have been a little bit more, you know, especially sympathetic towards you wanting to seal your love for your husband with a child and have a baby from your union. You know, I really felt that I was wrong for coming out and saying that to you, and like you said, don't make my womb your business, which, by the way, I think should be a t-shirt. Don't make my womb your business.
No, seriously.
That should be a t-shirt.
Oh, seriously.
So I felt kind of bad like that, because I know it's every woman wants to have a baby for their husband.
Right. I mean, I felt like because we did things. We had children prior to us getting married, and I feel like this is the way we should have done it. And
we didn't traditionally do it because I wasn't married to Gruber's father. I wasn't fast because I wasn't looking for anybody. And I didn't just take his number. He gave me a business card. Okay. He actually, my sister used to get me in a lot of trouble because Michelle had his number. You see what I'm saying? Michelle used to get me in a lot of trouble because Michelle used to sure have guys come and knock at the door and ask for me when I didn't even know them. And I remember one time, somebody knocked on the door and it was a guy, and mommy opened the door and the guy said, "Can I speak to Jackie?" And I'm like, I don't know him. Michelle had given him my name and told him that he was her.
Wow.
So
that's sibling stuff.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But I'm just, you know, throwing that story in there.
Yeah.
But, You know, I do feel you know, I do feel like I should have been more sympathetic.
I appreciate
that. And I feel that, you know, I didn't mean to make you cry. I didn't mean to make you feel bad. I know I did. And that wasn't, you know, I know we were all excited about sitting down and having that conversation. And so I said, after I watched it back, I was really not happy in how it went down.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy that we had the conversation, and I'm happy that you were honest.
Yeah.
And how you felt. And
yeah,
even,
but
even
still.
if you feel, you know, different today, that's what relationships are about. It's about having the conversations and growing.
Well, and I think right now we are on that path to making things better, because I remember there was some time when I never even talked to you. You see what I'm saying? We never had even conversations that we have now, because right now I find myself calling you, and before you gotta be honest, that's something that never happened.
No,
I would never even call you to ask for Richard. Now I call you and I'm like, hey, you know, what's up? We get into little conversations now, and that's more recently happened since the first healing session.
Yeah.
I mean, you see what I'm saying? I mean, you agree?
Yeah. Absolutely. So I did have another question while we're on the topic of Richard's father. Why did you lie to him and tell him that his father was dead? And allow your family to lie to him?
Well, my family did not want to get into my business. They did not. They were trying to give me my wishes, because I did not feel that at the time when I had Richard, that he needed to know about that kind of situation. And I never wanted him to find out that his father was in that situation. I'm not going to mention what it is, because that's not what this is about. But I did not want him to ever know that's what took place, that his father could have done that kind of thing. And I didn't want that stigmatism to follow him because he had the exact name. I wasn't the one that told him that his father was alive. Michelle was.
Right.
Okay? That's not how I wanted it to come out.
He told me Jonna told him.
No, I don't think Jonna told him. I think it was Michelle was the one that wrote. Michelle was the one who was writing him.
Yeah, she was.
She was writing him, right. That wasn't even, that part right there was not, I never told her to do that. And the only reason why she did that was out of spite about what was going on in her situation with her son. She wanted to try to hurt me. Okay? How would you like to know that your child's father did something that was not so heinous? How would you sit there and tell a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old that that's what happened? You could not do that.
No, I don't think that. I don't think that I would have told him at 5 or 10, but I would have definitely made sure that once he reached the age of understanding that I was the first person,
and I did not know how to have that conversation,
because that really that's something that really bothers him.
And
to this day.
I did not know how to have that conversation.
That's fair.
Because when you sit with someone, the words don't always come out, and I did not know how to come back from that. You see what I'm saying? Because now he was older. I knew that I wanted to have the conversation. I knew that eventually it would have come up, but I did not know how. He's named after his father.
Yeah.
And what happened, that's a stigmatism still out there till this day. You can look it up and you can still see clips of it.
Yeah.
And the name is there. So why would I want that kind of negativity to follow him? You know, I wanted to name him something completely different. I did not want to name him Richard Bass.
That was going to be my next question.
No, I did not want to name him Richard.
Yeah.
His father called me and said, with the name that I had picked out, he was like, no.
What did you have picked out?
It was some Tommy, Joe, something. It was a nice name, but it wasn't Richard.
Yeah.
And he wanted it Richard B. Glass.
Yeah.
Brownie Glass.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't want to do that because I didn't want that stigmatism to come back and hit and be a negative in his life.
Right.
Because of what his father did.
Right.
Sins of the father.
Yeah, and
I
so
was not.
That was that was something that we also talked about when we decided that we wanted to go ahead and try to conceive. You know, he said, "Well, do we name him? You know, Richard?"
No.
And so
I mean, that's left up to you and your husband. But I mean, I mean, you got to break the cycle. I mean, there are things as generational curses, and I just don't. I mean, you know, that's my opinion. So that's up to y'all. I ain't getting into the conversation of wombs anymore to get shut down.
But you ain't have to. I mean, what could he have done if you wouldn't have named Richard?
It would have been another name. It wasn't Richard though.
I'm saying,
I had a nice
why
name
didn't you
up.
choose a different name? Like, what could he have done?
Because the conversation that he had, and I never forget the conversation. I was walking around with my aunt, Auntie Ann, with this brown baby that looked like it was as black as night with straight black hair, and he was like, "I want him to be named." When he called me from
looking just like his
a
dad.
correctional facility. He was saying to me, "No, you're not going to name him that." And I was like, "What are you going to do?" I mean,
right.
he called me every day. Even my aunt was like, "Come and talk." I mean, you know, because when you get that call, someone is calling from a correctional facility. Do you accept the charges? Yes or no? Auntie Ann was like, "Listen, you ain't paying no phone bills around here." I mean, I was young. He keeps calling. And he kept calling. And I was like, you know what? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because, I mean, if that's all he was sitting there thinking about, he was thinking about him having his, you know. And I think at that point he realized that at that point he didn't know whether he was going to get out. Yeah. That hadn't come up. Yeah. So, and they weren't trying to. Because the family was very strict. They did not want him to ever come out. So, you know, I'm glad he did get the chance, because he got a chance to spend the time that he did with his son. I'm glad, but you don't understand the situation, and you don't understand. I was in that situation. I lived that situation.
I know, but so that's why I do extend grace, because to everyone, because you don't know anybody's situation,
right? And you don't know, right? And you don't know their walk. You don't know what they're doing on a day-to-day basis to heal some things that they're going through.
Yeah, how they've been affected.
Right.
And
had Chelsea Chris knew what was going on in her life and be able to heal some of the situations that she was going on, she would have never jumped from that roof. The Miss, I think it was a Miss America, and kill herself. So to have these conversations, is good to have them, because you're healing it. You know, I mean, at this point in my life, I don't have nothing to hide. Right. If you don't like me, you just don't damn like me. I don't give a damn. I don't. Right. I don't. Right. It is. So, I mean, I've lived that long. At least I've lived long enough. Some people don't even live to be my age. So at least I can say I've lived long enough, and I don't owe anybody anything. Right.
So I felt like when his father was released from prison and he was, you know, wanting to have a relationship with his father, and I was encouraging him to have a relationship with his father, it seemed like you were upset about it.
I was upset, but I don't understand. I was upset because,
I mean, even with me,
I was upset with you because you didn't come and ask me how I felt. Tiffany, you don't know what that man did to me. So you weren't there.
That's true.
So I still was bitter because we never had the conversation.
But do you know?
And me and him never sat down and had that conversation. Why he did some of the things that he did. I was not ready for that.
The biggest thing for me was, okay, I don't have a relationship with his mother. His father is open to getting to know me. I want to know, you know what I'm saying, where my husband comes from, and who and why he is the way he is, and who he's like, and you know. So I wanted to get to know somebody.
Yeah. No, I understand. I understand. But see, that's why, from your perspective, I understand how you feel. I understand how you feel because me and you didn't have that relationship. So I understand that you felt that way. You wanted to get to know somebody. Right. Because even certain people in our family, they weren't trying to get to know you. There were certain people, a lot of people at first wasn't trying to get to know you. I mean, not a lot. Not genuinely.
I truly have never had any issues with any of your brothers. They're super dope to me.
Okay. You know the brothers. But
me and Michelle was pretty close. We were like the tightest. Now, your younger sister, that's a different story.
Okay.
But me and
But then that didn't last either. the relationship between you and Michelle. And I mean, maybe we shouldn't bring other people's names in this because, well, I know they're probably going to be silently watching because I'm quite sure they are. But this is between me and you. This is in our relationship.
Well, so this is about family.
Yeah, it is about family, but I don't want to bring anybody else's name in it when they're not here to or not wanted to be able to defend themselves.
So here's
and
where,
it probably will reach to that.
So here's where we invite anybody whose name has been mentioned
to come to our healing session.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Yeah, because I can say, your younger sister, the youngest, or we can do that.
You can say the youngest.
Just, this is about me and you.
We're not going to put her name in it because,
this is about me and you. But, and it's
and you know what? When you're older, when you're, I'm not going to say older because I'm not giving out my age, but I've heard stories of women who tell me that in those days, there's certain things you didn't talk about. In those days, we didn't do things like that because we didn't want to talk about it. It was hush hush, or we didn't know how to have those conversations. So I did not know how to have that conversation with Richard at that time.
Yeah,
the person, the youngest, I didn't really know that she was the one that had it, but they had a relationship. So maybe that's why she felt that it would have been good here. And if anybody else would have, I would have preferred it to be her. Because she does things, the youngest does things a little bit with more tact. So finding out now that she was the one that said it, I'm not even upset. I would never be upset because that would have been the way that I would have wanted it. But the other game playing situation, I didn't never appreciate it. And when I found out letters were written, I was very upset about that because I would have never wanted it to come from that. I thought
that was really interesting because
and see, I even heard things about the letters. I
have all of his dad's stuff.
And I even heard money was exchanged in those letters.
I have the letters.
Okay. So I didn't even know that. And so when I found out about it, I was not happy about it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, who was he sending their money or was he sending him money?
I just want to say that I'm so proud of you because it really does take a big person to admit that they don't know how to say something. Yeah. And I understand. Yeah. I understand.
Yeah, but because sometimes there's conversations that you just feel it's like you don't really know how to say it and you don't want to cause any type of upsetness, or negativity, or make that person a friction. Because especially if you're living with somebody and you just don't feel like they understand, or they don't like you, or or you just don't understand. It's hard to have those conversations, so you kind of shut the door on the conversation. You never have it. And that's not good. Because that's locking everything up. And not letting yourself tell the truth about how you really feel. So. Thank you. I appreciate that, and I'm glad I've got the opportunity to sit down with you, and especially this time in the second part of the healing sessions. I'm glad that we were able to have a better conversation because the first one, you getting up and crying, that's not how I intended it. That I felt really bad about that. I really felt bad about that because I wouldn't want anybody to. I've had plenty of people look at me negative, and at this time, my skin is so thick, it doesn't really bother me anymore. Yeah. But maybe back then when I was younger, it would have. It really would have, because I was very sensitive. And if somebody would have said that to me, it would have upset me.
You know what? I think what it was that's something that only your son and I have shared. Yeah. We have not really shared with anyone that we struggle with conceiving or I've miscarried, or we haven't shared that with anybody. So when you brought it up, I was like, okay, I gotta talk about it. You know what I'm saying? And I just wasn't ready
no,
to talk about it. Especially to talk about it with you. Because I haven't even shared that with my mom, and that's another subject. I just wasn't ready, and I was like, oh.
And I think at that time. Also, too, I didn't understand the situation with you because you had some friction going on with your mom, and you didn't feel like you didn't feel like you had to be in a situation that you weren't comfortable with because your mom would not take you back in. So it's the certain, and there's certain conversations that I didn't have with you about that because I was saying I would have conversations with other people, but why can't she just go back home? You see what I'm saying? So, but I couldn't say that. When my father said it, my father was like, well, she's coming here to stay. And I respected that decision because I was a wise man. You know what I'm saying? So when he decided that that's what he wanted to do, was you and the baby to come, that didn't have nothing to do with me. That was my father putting his foot down and told his grandson, if you care about her, then she don't need to be in that situation.
Yeah. Okay. Everybody shut up about it. Nobody said nothing about it.
No,
once
because Vern said
what he said, that was it.
That was it. That was it.
That was it.
So, you know, but I never understood the whole thing, the whole dynamic between you and your mom, because I didn't understand why, if you have your daughter and your granddaughter out, why would you not want them to be with you? But like I said, that's part 3 of the healing sessions. She got me with part 2 now. She came up with some hard ass questions.
I'm not finished.
No, we ain't going to 10. Or you gonna have to throw a mine up in there.
I don't got 10, but I'm not finished.
Part 2 of 2 coming soon. Stay tuned. The healing session.